that the president is promoting this Safer America plan now that 85% of the country is concerned, extremely concerned, about the crime problem. 61% of the country doesn't think the man is capable of fighting crime. 64% of the country thinks he's incapable of dealing with gun violence. But welcome to the party, Mr. President. Look, suddenly the Dems, 70 days out from the midterms, they want to be clear. We're not out for defunding the police. What we want to do is we want 100,000 new cops. Well, I got news for you, folks. 100,000 new cops is over the next 5 years, and it ain't passed yet. 87,000 new IRS agents at a cost of $80 billion is already passed. It's done. A lot of them will have guns, too. But cops, yeah, we'll see what happens. And he wants to go after Republicans. He wants to say Republicans had a chance to vote for this in the American Rescue Plan. Hogwash. I'm so glad the Republicans, not one, voted for it. You know why? That $2 trillion plan is the reason we have inflation. And the money that they say was for police was nothing more than a slush fund for the locals. But let's get to the facts here. The president talks about community policing as though that's something that he just discovered. Let me tell you something, Mr. President. Community policing was the first thing that went when all you Democrats talked about defunding the police. And when I talk about the consequences, I can tell you the top 20 cities in the United States suffering from the most violent crime and murders, except for one, are run by Democrat mayors. Now, why is that important? That's important because the mayors decide how many cops, what the modus operandi standard operating procedure is going to be, and whether or not they're going to stand down or make arrests. Now, in these 20 cities, you can rest assured that crime is catapulting through the roof. And now what was outrageous is the new normal. And let me talk a little more about guns. I am sick and tired of your talking about guns, because every time you get someone who's got a gun, you and your liberal, leftist, progressive nonsense mayors let them out of jail. Nobody goes to jail. If you got a gun, good. Take the gun and let the guy go out and get another gun. The only way to get guns off the street is to start prosecuting gun trafficking. You don't do it very well. You don't know how to squeeze a defendant. And, of course, you can't, because you're not keeping him in jail. You're not threatening him. And today you mentioned fentanyl for the first time. I've been asking this for months. When did fentanyl come off your mouth or off your lips? And you know what you said? Worthless piece of garbage. More penalties for fentanyl. Mr. President, close the border. You want to fight fentanyl? Stop the drug trafficking that's going on in the southern border. 95% of the fentanyl is coming from China through the southern border. And I'm not done yet. Now, this thing about the Dems, they want to talk about, like Fetterman, your guy in Pennsylvania. They want to rehabilitate the criminals. You're all full of it. The person who needs to be rehabilitated is the victim, the victim's family, and the community that suffers from crime every day. And we just had a DA who reduced attempted murder to a misdemeanor. This is what you should be talking about. The DAs, not just the cops, the DAs and the judges who are letting these people out. A guy puts on these SAP gloves that are full of metal, beats the hell out of a guy, sucker punches him, fractures his skull. He's got a brain bleed. He's in a coma. It goes from attempted murder to a misdemeanor. He's let out on bail. So you can talk till you're blue in the face, Mr. President. I don't believe a word you say.
Let's listen.
It does something else really important. It addresses the opioid epidemic. Notice how many people are dying of opioid overdoses now? And by the way, laced with fentanyl. We're going to impose tougher penalties for deadly fentanyl trafficking. That's poisoning communities across this country. This is a key part of the unity agenda I'm announcing that I announced in my State of the Union address. We can do this. We have to do this. We'll make America safer.
300.
I wouldn't buy this if the White House promised to forgive the debt. OK, this is a scam. And Harold, to your point, which is a good point about, visiting cops where morale is high. At this point, the only cop with decent morale is the guy in the Village People. OK, I know cops. I come from a big law enforcement family. My dad, my brothers, my Uncle Sonny, my cousins. Harold, I would have been a cop if it weren't for this thing called a background check. So it's really personal to me because I can see the transparency, the political expedience in coming out for the cops now.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget, this is a president who was firing cops for not being vaccinated. Imagine calling 911 because you're getting mugged and being like, hey, can you send a vaccinated cop over here? No, you just want a cop with a gun and a badge. And he wasn't there for them as crime rates spiked. He's come back around now. That's why we can meet you halfway. I agree that it's good to see him showing support for police, but we need him to provide support, which goes beyond the stump.
He could have done it like the IRS agents. 87,000 IRS agents, some with guns. Why wasn't it 100,000 cops with guns? Why do you have to do the IRS
Guys,
thing?
we gotta run. Coming up next.